Fortnite Chapter 5. Wow, what an interesting chapter that was. It dropped over a year ago, and many people do look back on it as the worst Fortnite chapter of all time. And to be fair, Fortnite Chapter 5 was definitely the most controversial Fortnite chapter we've ever received.
Favorite chapters of all time. One of my favorite chapters of all time to shit on. Let me introduce you guys to the worst chapter in Fortnite history, ladies and gentlemen. Chapter 5. Or as I like to call it, the hashtag ad.
But I think to myself, was it really that bad? Because I know for a fact that many others, including myself, did kind of enjoy it at times. But was Chapter 5 the worst chapter, or is it just overhated? Well, in this video, I'm gonna be talking about it, looking back at its seasons and listing their pros and cons. So before I get into it, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. And why not join my Fortnite Discord server? The link is down in the description below. Now, looking back at that clip, Ninja defined Chapter 5 as a hashtag ad, which is a very interesting and understandable way to refer it. Fortnite Chapter 5 was the chapter that introduced us to the metaverse. Like Lego Fortnite, Fortnite Festival, rocket racing, you know, all that stuff. And I personally don't really have that big of an issue with the metaverse. Like, it was kind of an annoying change, and it came along with so many stupid factors. Although it was always meant to happen at some point, it did kind of downgrade Chapter 5 a bit. Default cars were removed from Battle Royale. Every time you would get into a car, it would just show up as your rocket racing car. And the item shop was changed very heavily as well, for Epic selling metaverse related items which were very expensive and held very little value to them. It was quite pointless, and overall, the metaverse is mostly seen as an awful change to Fortnite. And I do have to agree, it did at a somewhat degree ruin Fortnite Chapter 5. Now, Chapter 5 Season 1 Underground was obviously the first season of Chapter 5. The Chapter 5 map was honestly very solid. It was quite small at the time, but I honestly thought it was a great map. It was simple and stuck to one theme, which was European architecture. So it was a very nice map. However, there was barely any snow for Winterfest, and there wasn't even a Winterfest cabin for Chapter 5, so Chapter 5 did horrible for Winterfest. But Season 1 did great for other things. For example, bosses. There were 5 new bosses on the island, and they were all equally spaced out. Each boss dropping a mythic gun and a new thing called a medallion. Yes, Chapter 5 brought us these things called medallions, which were kind of like tokens. When picking one up, you'll regen with shields, and your location will be exposed on the map. So this was a very good change to bosses. Honestly, I think that Chapter 5 Season 1 is the best season for competitive. It had a brilliant new fresh loot pool with new heals, and Chapter 5 also brought us mod benches, which were a very long awaited addition to Fortnite. So this season was great for competitive players, and it was okay for casual. Like, we got a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles collab, which had some great weapons, and these weapons were brilliant for mobility. And we also got a Metal Gear Solid collab, which was it was okay. I mean, the items were pretty bad. Like, who wants a mythic cardboard box? But either way, it was a very good season, and perfect for competitive players. Also, Season 1 was pretty bad for storyline. Like, we knew the storyline of that season, of course, but like, there were no new quests. Until the end, where like, the only quests were to eliminate bosses, and this would free Peely, as Peely did go missing that season. So Season 1 was very slow for storyline, but this season did reintroduce us to mini live events, with the rising of Pandora's Box, which sent us straight into Chapter 5 Season 2. But before I move on to that, Season 1 also introduced us to the train, which was a very cool addition to Fortnite and was great for getting loot. Now, Chapter 5 Season 2 Myths and Mortals was interesting. The season was obviously themed around Greek mythology, and it actually gave us some very cool new POI. POIs, like Mount Olympus, which just looked stunning. Nobody can hate this location. And Grim Gate, which was a very, very popular location back in Season 2, because it was in the center of the River Styx, which was a green river that gave you free dashes. It was great for mobility, but sometimes pretty annoying. And it also had the boss of Cerberus, and if you kill him, you would get the medallion that would give you infinite of these green dashes. Yeah, they changed up medallions so that they now give you powers. Another thing, they also got rid of the vaults in Season 2, and Cerberus would also drop his mythic gatekeeper shotgun, which was a new shotgun, and it was OP as hell. So this season was alright for guns. However, Season 2 also introduced the Wings of Icarus, which was a new mobility item, and Zeus's Thunderbolt. Later on in the season, there was also the big Avatar, The Last Airbender collab, which brought quite a few new controversial items, like the water bending. That stuff was pretty overpowered. Even Doja Cat started to have rants about it. But yeah, that season was just pretty meh for competitive. For casuals, though, it was pretty good. There was a new May the 4th Star Wars collab, which was okay, but it did literally only focus on the metaverse side of things. Midas also came back this season and gave us the Midas Presents Flora's Lava LTM, and it was very cool to see Flora's Lava return. Voice lines had also returned that season with a new character named the Oracle, who helped us defeat the main villain of that season, Zeus, and informed us about the next big villain known as the Wanderer. Season 2 also ended off with a smashing mini live event, which was much longer than the one that happened before, even sending us to the sky. So this mini event will always be a favorite, as it was genuinely really good, and was a great way to bring us into Chapter 5 Season 3. Also, Chapter 5 Season 2 was the season where cosmetic rarities got removed, which was a pretty pointless and odd change. No one was a fan of it. But yeah, wherever Chapter 5 goes, metaverse follows. Then came Chapter 5 Season 3 Wrecked, and oh my god, where do I even begin? Chapter 5 Season 3 is considered one of the worst, probably the worst season of all time. Do I think it's the worst season of all time? No, I don't, but I get why others do. Season 3 brought us a new wasteland desert biome with some new heavy structured POIs, so that was honestly very cool. However, when you kill a boss, you get a gun, a medallion, and a car? Yes, an extremely full modded car, as Chapter 5 Season 3 brought vehicle mods, which were OP as hell with turrets and even cow catchers. Let's just say, if you weren't in a car, you were kind of cooked. This season also brought Nitro, that would give you the ability to walk on water and in general run pretty fast. The OP thing about this though is that you can just ram into anything you like and deal quite a heavy amount of damage. Cars could also take the Nitro effect, making them a lot more OP. Also, the thing about these boss cars is that it had a lot of health, and the best way to destroy cars back then was with Magneto's mythic, which was also a very hated item. But the most hated item was the Nitro Fists. These things were much more powerful than the Thunderbolts. Like, you could just tear anyone apart with these. So, putting all of this in a perspective, it was absolute hell for competitive players, but they all moved to Reload, as Reload was introduced midway through Season 3. But for casuals, Season 3 was alright. It was pretty fun, chaotic, wacky, and that's what casual players like. Also, in Season 3, fuel was nerfed quite a lot, so your car could genuinely just last the whole entire game, which was a pretty good change. And Season 3 also introduced these pads where if you put your vehicle on it, your vehicle will be both fueled up and fixed. However, doing this with one of the boss cars was of course very hated. Now, you guys know me as a Fortnite storyline guy, and I have to say, Season 3 was genuinely one of the best seasons we've ever received for Fortnite storyline. storyline. We got tons of lore, tons of new voice lines, and tons of new storyline quests. With also the Wanderer, a white cloaked figure who would just walk around the island. The season also ended off with a pretty cool mini event too, so season 3 was pretty good for casuals. However, for competitive, it was complete ass, and Chapter 5 Season 3 did ruin the reputation of Fortnite Chapter 5. And finally, we have Chapter 5 Season 4 Absolute Doom, which was Fortnite's second Marvel season. Now, I actually thought that this season was better than Chapter 5 Season 3, but there are many mixed opinions about this season. All of the car mods, the nitro fists, and the rest of the wrecked weapons were removed and were replaced with some rather broken items. Like War Machine's turret, which was actually very easy to get. And this thing would destroy the crap out of you in only a few seconds. I look back at Season 4 and I'm like, bro, how could anyone play 0 builds in this season? There was also War Machine's jetpack, which, well, that was pretty OP because people would just stay in the sky for quite some time. A lot of players found this very annoying until Epic started to nerf it, and oh my god, these nerfs. Bro, Epic just completely made their item useless, literally. If I remember, you would only be able to go up in the sky for about 5 seconds and you'll be pulled down. Item changes in that season were pretty crazy, I have to admit. Season 4 also brought us some really cool new Doom-related POIs, like Doom's Castle, which was, again, visually stunning, and the Doom mythics were actually really fun to have as well. They were surprisingly really balanced. And then there was also the Raft, where Emma Frost was at, and she would drop the medallion, which would let you see players who are nearby. So of course all of the competitive players went for her. Season 4 actually wasn't that bad for competitive if you ask me. But again said, there are a lot of mixed opinions surrounding this season. As also, Season 4 held the worst medallion of all time. If you were to kill Mysterio, you would get Mysterio's medallion, which would give you invisibility only for a short while whilst crouching. Many people thought that this medallion was completely useless and most of the times just left it in the storm. But aside from all of that, the loot pool for Season 4 was actually pretty decent and really fun. Like, if you ask me, I had so much fun with Iron Man's items. I thought they were insane. Gave you more flying freedom than the wings. So this season was very fun for casuals and alright for competitive, as Epic literally did remove all of the Marvel items in ranked. In that season, you could also become a Doom in pubs, and honestly, this was really fun. Like, although being Doom was a pretty much guaranteed win, it was just fun as hell. And if someone really got annoyed by it, then they could just play ranked. The Fortnite mares for that season was insane too, bringing us so many new POIs, turning the river Styx red, and adding a lot more abilities to the game. So much new content was added in Chapter 5 Season 4. And don't even get me started on the storyline of that season. Like, oh my god, that was insane. We were getting new storyline quests and voice lines every week, with Doom even getting voice lines and sounding like the most badass person ever. Well, that was until the mini live event of that season where Doom was poorly defeated by us. In fact, he was just rifted away. There was barely even a fight, and Doom wasn't even in the other half of his own season. It was crazy. And don't even get me started on the Chapter 5 End Live event Remix the Prelude. Yeah, it was a good way to bring us into Fortnite Remix. However, an awful way to end off a Fortnite chapter. So, was Fortnite Chapter 5 really that bad? Well, on a competitive side, yes, it was pretty crap, but if you're just a casual player, then it would have been really fun. And Chapter 5 was a really fun chapter, but broken and faulty at the same time. I'm gonna be non-biased here. Fortnite Chapter 5 was pretty crap, but it is very overhated. The enjoyment of Fortnite Chapter 5 did mainly regard on what mode you play. And now, I'm not gonna be biased, I kind of liked Chapter 5. It was a very fun chapter, had some pretty cool storyline moments, and I will admit, a lot of cool content was added during the chapter. Do I think it's the worst chapter? No, I think it's the second worst, though. But what were your thoughts on Fortnite Chapter 5? Well, let me know down in the comments. Also, like the video and subscribe to my channel for more content like this, and why not join my Discord server? The link is down in the description below.